Hi, Chris, joining tonight. A bit different from the post-match interviews, but I think you were pretty wet on Saturday. You dried out?
A little bit, yeah. It's quite nice to not be surrounded by them spiders in that stand that we normally do it in. That was crazy. That was crazy Saturday.
Yeah, the weather.
No, I'm surprised it was on considering some of the patches. Um, I'd hate to be their groundsman now, to be honest. Like trying to redevelop that pitch for the rest of the season, but um, yeah, it's nice to be in a warm house, talk to you, Neil. To be honest.
Yeah, I think on Saturday, Duncan and I were standing there watching the rain pelting down and thinking we'll be lucky if we get to half time or even, once we got to half time, I think, are we going to get to 60 minutes? But I mean, to be fair to both teams, really, it was a decent spectacle to watch and a fair bit of football being played.
Yeah, do you know what? I think where it was wet, where it was so wet, it kind of masked over the mud, the muddy bits, and the surface was quick, which probably suited an end-to-end style of game, and it was very fast-paced for the full fixture. I thought even at the end, both teams were still kind of going at it. Um, just a shame we ended up on the wrong side of the result. I still can't work out how we've walked out with no points, but here we are, mate. Here we are.
I think that was, yeah, I think that was the view of a lot of people there, not just Royston fans. There were
No.
Kettering fans and officials who also said they just couldn't believe that that we lost.
No, I mean when that second one went in, um, I think I turned to Lou. I was looking at him thinking, what have we got to do to like win a game of football here? Like that's two games in a row. I think we've equipped ourselves very well, especially Saturday, and the three goals we've conceded are just I don't know the best way to not comical in the sense of like errors from the boys, just when your luck's not quite there, they're the kind of goals that you concede. And if you concede one of them in a game, like that's one thing, but to concede all three was harsh. And I went in the bar afterwards, and someone come up to me. I think he was a fan, and he said, "I'm almost embarrassed to take the 3 points." But listen, I thought both teams worked hard. I just think that we were the better side and didn't get maybe what we deserve. And I think we said it to you in one of the first interviews, we'll play better and lose. And that's probably a prime example of playing well and not getting your rewards,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for those that don't know, obviously the first was a penalty that was kind of contentious, really. One of these new handball
Oh,
rules where
very hard.
you know Muzza jumps for the ball, your arms have to go up, the header is back across him, and he's what, a yard and a half away from the fella who's headed it back across
Yeah.
goal. Don't really know what he can do. The second one's an own goal, and the third is just a sort of defensive error and mix up at the back, really.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, none of them were probably goals that where we've been undone.
No, I don't think they worked hard to score their goals in those three instances. I don't mean they haven't worked hard. I think within those moments, one of their subs run up and said that the second goal was actually offside as well, which it
Oh,
just summarises everything with where we're at the moment. But yeah, I mean, fair play to the boys. They carried on. I think what I did like was that we showed a lot of character. Even at 3-1, they were still having a go, and it's hard to concede them so late after pretty much throwing a kitchen sink at it. And I thought we did well first half. I thought obviously they changed shape, um, as did we. And I felt that it was quite an open contest. I think that we maybe lacked quality with our ball into the box. But we've had a couple of chances to go 1-0 up. And then we said at half time, it's just we need to create more moments for the keeper to do something. And the lads took every word on board, and we got the goal. We obviously gave one away. We acted very quickly, and then I think there was like a 10-minute spell where it was just. I remember just my position being turned to the right hand side of me, and I was
Yeah.
just watching the goal. And I thought, to be fair, credit to you. And I think what it did was when we were in the dressing room afterwards, it was a bit of a sense of there was an element of being pissed off a little bit, and it's like, but in a way where I felt like it motivated us to go again next week and have that bit between the teeth. And I don't know, after the last two performances, it wouldn't surprise me if we turned someone over. I wouldn't think, wow, where's that come from? I think that it would be, we've created a lot of chances the last two games. And if it ended up 4 or 5, then I just think it's just down to, if you look at statistically, if you look at our goal ratio to shots on target, it's like 2.3. I think the problem we've got
Yeah.
is either getting shots or getting them on target. So they're the bits that we need to obviously work on. But yeah, to walk out of there with no points, Neil,
I think Saturday showed yeah, cruel.
yeah,
I think Saturday showed a lot more. I mean, I've heard you sort of like say about approaches into defensive thirds and
yeah,
making inroads into boxes and stuff. I think we did that a lot better this Saturday. We created a lot more chances. I know Joe had a couple of chances, one ruled out for offside. I haven't looked
yeah,
at it yet. It looked tight on the day, but
yeah,
don't know if it was or not. But there's also a couple of headers from corners. I think we were a threat at set pieces on Saturday as well.
mm,
Yeah, I mean, I just think any other day, we come away with at least a point, at the very
yeah,
least a point.
yeah. I think it would have been a fair result to walk out of there with something. Especially considering the performances. What's been nice within the last two fixtures is we've been able to have a bit more of a consistency in team selection, and we changed shape to go with what we thought would be best for that fixture. And I think to a man, everyone gave a very solid performance. I think Joe was outstanding. I thought the back four did very well. Back five, sorry, including Chadders, did well. I thought Harvey dominated the lad up top. He was very
Yep.
hands-on with him, and I don't think the lad liked it too much. But I thought he showed his qualities, and what a player I think he'll go on to be. Like we've had some good loanies, and I think we've got some really good loaning options in the building at the moment. But I probably look at Harvey, and I look at the time that Harry Darling was with us, and I thought he was excellent. I think Harvey's outstanding, and he's been phenomenally consistent with every performance he's given us. So, and then I thought second half, I thought the midfield three, well, kind of ran the game a little bit. Josh got on the ball a bit more and dictated the tempo, and I thought Samson and Fabio, their legs and their third man runs were causing all sorts of problems, and it was real nice to see that we had such an energetic performance in conditions like that.
Yeah, and I know you've already mentioned him in a tweet and that as well. But I mean, Fabio had a great game really on a terrible surface.
Yeah, do you know what? I think it's probably the time to tip the cap to Matt Campany and Dan Evans. Like they're done and they're doing a great job in the 23s. I think where we're obviously going to talk about the season overall, I think there's been a big change to the actual structure of the place, and obviously movements in managerial positions and stuff throughout the whole of the senior setup. Um, they're coming into their own, and they're obviously two young managers, and I watch them coach, and I think they've got the tools to be very successful. But what they're doing with that young group, um, they're playing some very good football against some adult players, and when they come into training, I've got a group of 23s that are really impacting sessions, and I think we probably need to get to a point of where we have more Fabios coming through, but the the work that they've done with him to get him to the point of what he's doing. I didn't tell him he was starting Saturday. I thought I didn't want to. Sometimes you can linger on that and start to overthink it. So I just dropped him in the dressing room that he was starting and said to him, go and enjoy it. And I thought he was one of the best players on the pitch, to be honest. I thought
Yeah,
he looked like
definitely.
he'd been playing for a number of years. And sometimes that happens with youthfulness and naivety of understanding non league football. Um, but it was lovely to see a lad come through the 23s and become like a real key part of what we're doing at the football club. And it has to be highlighted that the two boys are doing a really good job in what they're doing at the moment.
And I think it's key for them, the lads in the 23s to see that there is that pathway.
Yeah,
As much as it is for the 18s to see that there's a pathway to 23s, that it continues on,
yeah.
really.
I mean, from my perspective, it makes my job a lot easier now if we've got lads coming through the 23s and the 18s, and we haven't got to go out and find them. You know, it would be great to have three or four and get to a point. I think that's what we have to aspire is that the 18s are servicing the 23s, and then we've got 18s and 23s players that have like a development plan over 3-4 years, maybe 2-3 years, um, that are then going to challenge to come into the first team dressing room because they'll know about the place and they sort of live and breathe it for a number of years and it all matters. Um, so the better that we get at creating that process, the more beneficial it's going to be for everyone involved. It becomes an easy selling point for Roy in his 18s position. Um, and then it's a key marketing point, I guess, for attracting lads for the 23s as well. So um, hopefully that's, I wouldn't say the start, because obviously we've had Kian come through and there was a while before that you've got the likes of Gus and Josh, etc. They're obviously going on and doing great things, but hopefully it's an opportunity where some, what word am I trying to think of, some actual real life evidence is there that there is a
Yeah.
pathway at the club.
Yeah. And you talk about there about saving you a job of having to go out and look for someone. I know you have had to go out and look for someone recently. Obviously, the departure of Matt Bateman recently
Yeah, yeah,
to Burko. Um, how's that search going?
yeah. Good. So we'll be announcing a few later this week. We've got a couple of new faces. I'm hoping a couple more as well over the next coming weeks. Matt, I fully appreciate, and it's for Matt to speak about why he felt he needed to move on. But I fully appreciate nothing sinister in it at all. He just felt like like I say, that it was what he wanted to do, and it weren't one that we planned for. But you have to appreciate that it's non-league football, and sometimes things suit in life more than others. And he decided that was what it was. So we've begun a search. I think we probably identify a couple of positions that we need to strengthen and create a bit more competitiveness in the squad, but also identifying that maybe a key factor in the inconsistency of performance may be the the overall age of the group. So we are sort of heavily looking into trying to bring in a couple of experienced lads as well to support the youngsters because we've got some real good ability at the club that we need to maybe enhance a little bit more through just a bit more know-how. But yeah, Matty's moved on. We have a
Yeah.
replacement. I'd probably like a couple, and maybe a shift in formation slightly. Not drastic changes, but going about our business in the same but different way.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned there the sort of inconsistencies, so we might as well sort of touch on the season so far. I think that's a perfect word to probably sum up this first third of the season. What are we? We're
Yeah,
games in now, 15 games in. Um,
yeah,
yeah, and what are we? 18 points from 15 games. Not
yeah. So
probably where you were hoping we'd be at.
no, I think take out Saturday. I think we should be 5 points richer than we are. This is the mad thing about fine margins, Neil. Like, so we're 2 points ahead of where we were last year at this point. If we were to repeat that and be 2 points
Right.
ahead of where we were in the second phase and the third phase of the season, um, we'd have finished seventh or eighth last season. So we were talking about 2 wins effectively.
Mm,
Um, but I think, yeah, when we look at it, I would say there's been an inconsistency with performances. I think there's probably been an inconsistency with player selection. Now, whether that's we've had a hell of a lot of injuries for the first part of the season. Like at one point, we had 9 unavailable. Now, whether it's injuries or dip in form, it's been hard for us to select the same 11 for 2 games. Um, I think if you look
yeah.
at and you refer back to the stages of group development, I think like our forming stage, in hindsight, our forming stage started too late. We've carried over 6 players from last season. Like that's a big rebuild to only carry 6 and then have to go and find 12, 13 players. I think obviously the squad didn't get together fully until the training session before hitching. And you've got obviously that forming stage where everyone's polite and nice and trying to get on. And I think that helped us pick up a few results. I think we've gone through the storming stage now of where reality's kicking in a little bit of what's being done and what's not being done. And um, I'd like to hope and think that the last 2 league performances are starting to show signs of like a norming so that we can then move on to like the performing stage and stuff. So I think the inconsistencies are there. I think the important thing is we know why we're losing games, and a lot
Yeah.
of it comes down to ultimately scoring goals. I think we've had Lady Luck perhaps not be on our side at times, whether it's the the man sent off up at Mikolova that changes it, and don't blame the Queen for that by highlighting it, whether it's the injuries, whether it's the goals at Kettering, or whether it's that pivotal moment at the St Ives game where we're 2-1 up with a corner. We should be 2-1 up with a penalty, but it goes 2-2, and then I'm removed for the dugout for being a ventriloquist. It's just fine, little fine margins and key moments haven't gone for us. Um, and I'd like to think that if we continue to graft and grow as a side, Lady Luck will start to turn for us because we do need those. I think we've had maybe one moment of luck this season in the other church game where we won down, but the lad's been the keeper's obviously been sent off, and it's helped our performance. But other than that, I think there's been quite a few moments where penalties haven't been given, and we have to obviously account for the fact that we aren't getting maybe some decisions at the moment. And I genuinely don't want it to sound like excuses. Ultimately, we haven't done well enough across 90 minutes to sustain the result. But as I say, it's key for us as management to know why we're losing games of football, and it's for us to now go and change that and make that better. So I'm happy with the last 2 performances. So we ask for and we work on a rough basis of 240 completed passes and 88% pass completion rates. And through October, for various reasons, we fell quite short of that, whether it was quality of performance or style of play. And we felt quite low before that, but Needham, we were 240 passes and 87% possession. And well, I haven't got the data through for the Kettering, but I would say we're even better than that once it does come through. So if we can keep that going, improve the number of chances on target, then they're the fine tweaks that I think would make the difference with our season, along with probably adding a bit more experience into the side and creating a slightly more outgoing atmosphere within the dressing room. That's my summary now.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think you sort of you mentioned. We did have the possession, we did keep the ball, but I think as we said, there wasn't really much in the way of chance creation.
No.
But Saturday's game at Kettering, there was a big improvement in chance creation.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think we must have had probably at least a dozen shots, maybe more,
I would say
across
so.
the game.
I would say so. With a large part on target as well.
Yeah, so they're definitely steps in the right direction, and hopefully soon karma or lady luck will play its part, and obviously not to just rely on that, but
No, of course.
everyone needs that. It will start to change it. It's almost that old adage where it says that someone needs it to go in off their backside.
Yeah, we probably need to win how Kettering won Saturday effectively. With a bit of luck with the goals going in, not that they haven't worked hard again. I do want to stress that, but just with the way that their goals came about, we probably need that. I mean, if you go back to Needham, Bates has had one and Muzz has had. We've had 3 headers that are real good opportunities, and it's one of them. If you take one of them, you go 1-0 up. That becomes a different game. So we've we took a team that I think, like I say, kept 13 clean sheets in 18 games. Like, that's a hell of an achievement. We could have arguably been 1-2 up had we obviously had taken those. We created them. We're just obviously not being prolific enough at the moment. And our shot to goal ratio needs to be better and more aligned with our shot on target to goal ratio. But hopefully with a couple of new additions and maybe lads playing with a bit more familiarity with each other, that we can move into this middle third and pick up the points. I know it looks,
and possibly also that bit more, and possibly that bit more belief and willing to take on those opportunities. That's what Saturday looked like. It was more evidence of, with people willing to take the responsibility, as it were, to get shots off.
No, I agree. I think
that's just from an outsider looking in.
No, I think you're right, mate. I think we played with a freedom. I thought we played. I've watched it back, and I'm really happy with how we played at Needham. Other than the 2 goals, but other than that, I thought we played with a lot of freedom in that fixture. So if we can just build on those 2 things, the new lads that are coming in add the qualities that we don't necessarily have at the moment, then hopefully it makes us a better group and a stronger group to then move into what is going to be a difficult period. The league is tough this year. It's without question the toughest. I've known it, where teams are a little bit more even. And you've got clubs that are obviously doing well at the moment that have a settled squad, and you have clubs that have got big budgets that are going to grow. I think and you obviously have clubs that don't do too well and people getting relegated, but I think the signs are there over the last 2 games, and you have to be positive and we have to remain positive. But I think statistically the signs are there from the last 2 league fixtures to identify that there might be a shift in pattern. I've lost you now.
All right. Sorry, now I'm here. I didn't know. It did cut
Yeah,
out
you're
a little
there.
bit. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah,
All right. No worries. We can cut this bit out in the edit and make it look all nice and smooth, or leave it in.
leave it. No, why not?
Um, just coming to a bit of an end now. Go on.
What's
It's
that?
about uh, we often touch on it in the post matching. Something to touch on now at the end is just the injury situations. How are we looking at the moment? Obviously, Alfie hobbled off against Kings Langley, and Ronnie was replaced late on Saturday. Looked a little bit uncomfortable, and obviously Ed and Rod still sort of like long-term injuries.
Yeah, so we've got Ed. Ed is progressing in a way that Scott's really happy with. I'm just going to get my list up of the actual injuries. So Ed is hopefully 4 weeks away. Um, we need to obviously assess, and he'll have to have a few 23 fixtures and whatnot. But he's hopefully only a few weeks away. Rod will be an ongoing process. Like I say, I think he keeps chipping away at what he's doing. And he knows he's got the autonomy to use the club as and when he sees fit at the moment that suits what he's trying to do. And he's a lot of what he is doing is external anyway, because it's what's needed and not necessarily at the football club. Ben will be maybe another 4 weeks with the issue that he has with his arm. And he's I thought he's done really well since he's come into the club. I think he's fit into the group fantastically well. And he clearly has already shown that he's a lad that is about honest graft and work rate. And despite maybe being one of the smaller members of the group physically, he don't mind putting himself about, which is nice. Alfie currently has the ankle of an elephant, and it's the same colour as Ribena. So I think he'll be a few weeks. He started to walk without the crutch, so that's
It just looks
progress.
so innocuous that.
Yeah, yeah, but he was
Yeah,
massive.
it's bizarre. Mm.
He sent me a picture of it, and I said to him, like, you're getting no one paying for that on these feet websites. Like, it was horrendous. And he said, like, didn't realise how bad his feet were, but I don't think that's too bad. We just got to wait for the swelling to go down, so that'll be a couple of weeks. Ron was precautionary. He said he felt it started to feel a little tweak in his groin, so we just whipped him off because of the score line anyway. So. And Mackay was unwell on Saturday, so he will hopefully
Right.
get some minutes for the 23s tomorrow. And then obviously Jawan and Ange have gone off to get their football and pick up their fitness. And Jawan didn't really have much of a pre-season, so he needs to get some full 90 minutes in and obviously get that confidence back in front of goal. He's shown already that he knows how to score goals, but it's just that consistency of taking chances and being able to run through for 90 minutes. So he has gone off to obviously Tame to get that, and then Ange has gone to get some more game experience than fitness for Ange. He's come from step 5. I think he's quickly become a favourite at the club. He's an honest lad, and as I've sort of said to him, I think he has a very high ceiling. He just maybe is doing things that he got away with at step 5, and he just needs to take that progress. But I think he's a really exciting talent. So hopefully the list is going to start getting a bit smaller, and we can have some players back. And like I say, once we can pick a side that is settled, they can learn to embed with each other, and everyone knows at the moment it's things that maybe you don't even consider, but every time I write a board I've got to put somebody somewhere different for a set piece so that there's no one really identifying the job they do. And I guess the benefit is opposition managers don't know what team we're going to
Yeah.
play, but it would be nice to have that that settled element and have a starting 11 that are holding their shirts down and a group of lads that are desperate to try and get in it. We haven't had that luxury just yet. So fingers crossed that's on its way for us.
Nice one. Well, we're getting to about half an hour. I think that's enough for anyone to listen to either of us talk. Um, so,
I think my mum, even my mum
obviously
was switched off
Saturday's
by now.
game. Saturday's game. Obviously, we've got Stourbridge coming to Garden Walk. I think we touched on this earlier. They've had a good run in both of the cup competitions, so they're a little bit
Yeah,
behind in terms of games played in the league. But that'll be another tough game.
of course it will. We've just got to have the mentality of growing on, feeling a little bit hard done by, and taking that annoyed element into our play. Couple of good sessions training, and Stourbridge is never ever easy. I played Stourbridge myself in my playing days at Chesham, and it was never an easy fixture. So I don't expect Saturday to all of a sudden be any different, because a false league position in my eyes of where they're at the moment. They've had the success that we probably wish for in the 2 trophy and the 2 cups, and now they're going to play catch up in the league. But the signs are there, hopefully, that we can grow on, and if the new lads coming in can then add on to it, hopefully it's that we can finally break this voodoo. I think it's 6 losses, and we can start to enjoy a sense of winning and get that back. I don't think we're too far away at all. And say it's fine tuning more than wholesale changes, but hopefully that will be what we can get back to on Saturday, mate. It won't be easy, but I don't think we
Cool.
will have an easy game this year.
No, no. I mean, again, it's one of those cliches, isn't it? There's no easy games. You've either got
No,
teams fighting for playoffs or championships or relegation, or just, like many clubs in our league, just aiming to stay at step 3, really.
yeah, exactly. But no, I'm looking forward to it like a lot.
Well,
But
hopefully we'll have some. Hopefully
go on,
we'll have
mate.
some news later on this week with some ins joining the club, and hopefully one of them has the adage of, or the adjective of, prolific after his description. That'd be nice. That was when you're looking for your ideal striker, that's got to be number one, isn't it? Prolific.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we've we've got one that's quite exciting. We are on the hunt for a couple more, if I'm honest. I think that's probably a department that we need to add to with Matty going. I felt that we probably needed another one
Not easy
anyway.
to find though.
Do you know what the thing is as well, Neil? When you look at it statistically, again, there aren't many in our region that are scoring a large number of
Right.
goals. They're sort of a little bit further afield. So um, we've got to we want to take our time where we can with the search to get the right one, because we've lost a club favourite, and obviously it'd be nice to bring one in that becomes a club favourite again. So we're doing our due diligence. We do have one coming in this week that I'm quite excited about, and looking forward to watching him play. But we are doing like a bit of a prolonged search as well for a further striker to come in and, like I say, become that fan's favourite void that Matty's left.
Yeah. And to take on the mantle for the wives of Royston.
Why has he left? Hey, why has he left that?
I did like that. It was a nice touch from Matt. That was. I
Yeah,
did like that.
he's got a good sense of humour, the boy.
But anyway, we'll yeah, we'll call it a day there, Chris, and
Okay,
look forward to seeing everyone back at Garden Walk on Saturday.
yep. See you all
All
Saturday,
right.
guys. And if you're
Cheers, mate.
what is that, 30 35 minutes, 3 seconds in, and you're still listening to this, then you really need more to do with your Monday evenings, because you shouldn't still be here. You should have switched off by now. But thank you anyway. I'll see you later.